Welcome to Journey to Attorney. My name is El-Elyon, and today we are talking about the art of perseverance, and more specifically, mastering this art I call perseverance. And I call it an art because, ooh, believe you me, this journey that I have been on to get me to a place where I am today, where I can consistently persevere in hard times, has been one of great learning experiences. And of course, I always like to talk from a place of experience so that I know I can relate to it, and then I can relay that information back to you in a way that you can learn from, grow from, and come out of the other side successful. So I'll be sharing the tools and tips that I've used on my journey as an attorney and in life in general. So I just want to start off with a short and sweet quote. It's a Japanese quote that says, "Fall 7, rise 8." That's it. That's the quote. And it's short, sweet, but powerful. And of course, it's self explanatory, but I can kind of break it down a little bit further. It's basically saying if you fall down 7 times, you need to rise 8. And I know it's not actually useful for me, or helpful rather, to just repeat the same thing with some additional words. But essentially, the value in this, the essence of this quote, and the most important part is that getting back up. So if you do fall 9 times, get up 10. If you fall 99 times, get up 100. And again, switching up the numbers might not be the best way to explain. But the reason why it's so important is because that falling down part, if you stay down too long or allow yourself to stay down too long, you can find yourself in a trap of wallowing in self-pity, self-doubt, limiting beliefs, limiting thoughts, and that just makes it all the more harder to get up. And yes, I know, sometimes life just throws these curveballs at us. Those blows to the ground can be brutal and it makes it harder to get up. But in that time, you need to recognize that sometimes it will take longer to get up, but the important part is the getting up. And even if it takes longer, in that time you are learning, you are still growing, so don't be discouraged. Now, I also want to just go over a quick definition of perseverance, and of course I'm using Oxford Dictionary as a Brit. So in the dictionary it says perseverance is persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. And a further definition from vocabulary.com says perseverance is not giving up. It is persistence, there it is again, and tenacity. The effort required to do something and keep doing it till the end, even if it's hard. And even if it's hard, it's like the focal point here, and doing it to the end. And then it also says perseverance originally comes from the Latin word perseverantia, which means to abide by something strictly. Now, that's just a little free Latin terminology lesson I'm dropping in there. But the importance, again, as I said, perseverance really comes into play in the difficult times, in the challenges, in those times where you feel like you can't keep going. That's where you need to call on the art of perseverance. And there's a difference between determination and motivation versus actual perseverance. And so recognizing that perseverance is actually like a combination of both, fueled by like a passion, a desire, and a drive to get to your end destination. Having that in mind is very helpful. Also, there have been studies that have shown that perseverance, and I'm going to read this, it's a Duckworth study, said that perseverance is an essential quality for success in life. It often tops aptitude and raw talent and is a more accurate predictor of achievement. Our ability to stick with our goals, our tasks, and our passions is vital. Persevering entails effort and practice. And that just goes back to me calling it an art that you have to master, this practice and effort to become somebody who can master perseverance, somebody who can actually keep going when the going gets tough, right? And the part that really stood out to me here is the fact that it says it often tops aptitude and raw talent, meaning that somebody with raw talent or this amazing potential has less of a chance in succeeding as opposed to somebody who perseveres. Because it's like, what's the point if you have all this raw talent, but you get a challenge thrown your way and then you quit or you give up? then what, right? Whereas somebody who may still have to be building or mastering their talent or their skill, if they're also building and exercising that perseverance muscle, they are going to go much further than the person with talent who stops. So that is something to think about. Now, again, this is something that I can relate to in my personal life. You guys know my story with how I had to persevere with the bar exam. And we'll talk about how failure can actually be a virtue in some cases and help you in the future, like it did with me. But more specifically, that's kind of like a long-term event where you have to continue to persevere, okay, like I did. However, there are also some short-term examples of perseverance. Like sometimes it's like in your daily life. I've shared a story on another platform, on an interview, where I was explaining when I was a lawyer in a case and the opposing counsel, they didn't believe that I was the lawyer. And when they found out I was the lawyer, they didn't try to correct it. They didn't try to apologize. Instead, this guy was throwing all sorts of crap at me from the beginning of the case, during the case, and even after. And in that moment, I kind of felt like he was trying to throw me off my game. And I had a really good game plan for my client, right? So I feel like that probably was his plan, and his client's case was weaker. So he was trying to attack me in other ways to get to me personally. But as I was presenting my client's case, as I was hearing these objections, as I was feeling his attitude towards me, I had to persevere in that moment to continue remembering what my game plan was, remembering what the outcome that I desired was for the client, and push through. So sometimes your perseverance will have to come into play in the long run, and sometimes you'll need to have it, like, call on it instantaneously almost. So having that perseverance muscle is so important, whether you are a future lawyer, a business owner, even just in relationships in general. Sometimes you have to get through the tough times to get to the better times. Some things that you can do to help you persevere are things like calling for help when you need it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Also, not being afraid to fail, because if you have that fear, you're not even going to take the next steps to overcome the problem in the first place, right? So knowing that it's okay and that you can learn from it and you can grow from it regardless is one thing. And then also just remembering the end goal, keeping the end in mind, and also remembering your why. That is such a driving factor in helping you overcome. And I have a couple passages from the Bible actually that I want to share. And one of them says, and it's from Romans 5 verses 3, we can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help us develop perseverance. And rejoice is a strong word. There's another one, and that's James 1:2-4. It says, consider it pure joy, pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. And both of these passages, what they have in common is the fact that they're saying rejoice and consider it pure joy when you're going through things. Now, honestly, when you're going through something, the last thing you're honestly going to be thinking is, yes, I got another problem, I got another challenge. That's not always going to be the case, but the more you build your perseverance muscle, the more you start to recognize and see how certain things happening can work in your favor and help build you up as a person, right? So just thinking of that, and in the long run it changes your outlook on the situation. It helps you see it a different way, it shapes you differently. So ultimately you want to be able to become mature and complete in the things that are set out for you. So having that perseverance push you to go forward and keep going is really going to go a long way and help you move the needle, as it has for me. Of course, I'm still mastering this beloved art, but it's something that is so important, and I just wanted to share with you today. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you at the next episode.